Hi everybody, welcome to PlantPure Nation at Facebook Live. I'm Kim Campbell, and tonight we're making burgers your way. Burgers are veggie burgers. We're not making meat burgers, but veggie burgers are one of the easiest things to make plant-based. Once you sort of know the formula, and in my second cookbook, PlantPure Kitchen, I actually put a veggie burger formula up. Laura, you can show them the veggie burger formula. And I put it in the oh, I don't know if I put it in the link. I will add it to the link, or staff at PlantPure can add it to the link to PlantPure Chef, which has the veggie burger formula and the recipe that we're going to be doing tonight. So we'll talk about it a little bit. Tonight we're doing the walnut pesto, but a good veggie burger always starts with beans. I don't think I've ever made a veggie burger without beans, and I know you probably can, but I don't. So tonight we're using lentils, and I'm using black lentils. You can really use any kind of lentil you want. You can use, well, I wouldn't use red lentils, but you can use black lentils, green lentils, or French lentils. And they don't come in a can very often. You sometimes can find them at Whole Foods. These are black, and I just put them in the Instant Pot for about 8 to 10 minutes, and they come out really nicely. And then I freeze them. I freeze them in about 1.5 cup batches, which is equal to about a can. So I'm going to set that aside, and then we're going to get our food processor. And this is the easy part about doing a veggie burger. You can put it all in the food processor. So we're going to start with about 1/2 cup of walnuts. And then we're going to use a can of black olives. And because olives are pretty salty, I don't add any salt to this recipe. And then garlic. The recipe says about 6 cloves, but I don't know if you want to see what I'm putting in here, because I put a lot of garlic in my food processor. And then fresh basil. This is a great recipe when basil is in season. If it's not in season, you can do half spinach and half basil. So a good veggie burger usually has a couple of cups of veggies. You can use broccoli, you can use carrots, spinach, onions, celery, really anything you want. I'm going to use all basil for this one. And then a cup of oats. That's your starchy dry base, and it'll help hold it all together. If you have questions, please just let me know and I'll answer them as we go. And then I'm going to add some nutritional yeast flakes, and I'm going to put it in the blender because that will help all the flavors just kind of meld together. So we'll turn this food processor on. Do we have people on, Laura? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. So you want this to get kind of mushy, almost like a pesto. So I'm going to kind of keep working at it here. So I'm sorry, I'm trying to... the consistency you want. I would probably make it even more mushy because that's what's going to actually hold your burger together. These are really nice to make as veggie balls. They go beautifully with the nice marinara sauce because we had them last night. So we've got, in this we've got our dry, my starchy dry ingredients. We've got some textured ingredients like walnuts, and we have black olives. And then we've got the vegetables. So if you have a food processor, it just makes it really easy. So we're going to add these to the black lentils. And pesto is really garlicky. So this actual recipe is loaded with flavor. And if you go and you have a veggie burger at a restaurant, oftentimes there's not a lot of flavor to it. This is loaded with flavor. And then we're going to add some lemon juice to it. But before I do that, this wasn't in the recipe, I really like to zest a little bit of lemon, and I have a microplane that I zest on. So I would zest about maybe half of the lemon. A lot of people just use the lemon juice and then they throw the rest of it out, but there's some really good flavors in there. So then we'll cut the lemon in half and we'll juice about half of it. Put it in my juicer here. And that's about, I don't know, a tablespoon. And then we'll add some Dijon mustard. Because there's so many flavors in here, you really don't need to add salt. And a little bit of onion powder, about a teaspoon. That's about right. And then mix it up really well. And at this point, you can actually use your hands if you want to. If it feels like it's too dry, you can add more oats. You can add some oat flour. So some people like to grill burgers and they really struggle with plant-based burgers on the grill because they fall apart. This is a pretty good burger. It holds together really well. Let me take my reins off here. Put my hands in. It holds together really well. I think it would probably do well on the grill. If you wanted to, you could put some vital wheat gluten in it. We don't do that, but I know for some people, if they want a really tight veggie burger, they'll do that. And this makes about 6 really good sized veggie burgers, or probably 10 to 12 veggie balls. And that's about right. Take your parchment paper on a cookie sheet, lay that down, that way you don't have to worry about it sticking. And here's the key when you're making veggie burgers, is to keep your hands wet, because otherwise it's going to stick to your hands.
Mike Belfi wants to know why you don't use vital wheat gluten.
Well, I don't use it much because it's processed, so it's the actual protein part of the wheat flour, but it's what holds things together really well. So I would consider it more processed, but the other reason I don't put it in recipes is because we have so many people who are careful about gluten these days. They do have it in the cupboard, and occasionally I've used it for recipes, but I try not to put it in the cookbook because I know a lot of people struggle with gluten. And I like these burgers because they're dark. They actually look like a real burger. And last night I made a bunch of meatballs and they were delicious. So you can make them like that. Put them in the oven at about 400, and remember, everybody's oven is different. I like to put mine in the convection oven. You could put these in an air fryer if you wanted to. You just have to be careful not to dry it off too much. And here's the end result. So you can see they hold together really nicely. I don't want to burn my countertop. They hold together really nicely. Super crispy. And then what I did is I took some red onions on the microplane and I finely sliced them. And then I added some red wine vinegar and a little bit of maple syrup, about 2 tablespoons, half a cup of red wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and just a little bit of salt. And I let it sit overnight, and these are pickled onions. They are so good on a burger. I don't have a recipe that I posted, but I'll try to do that, but that's just, it's almost not a recipe. So we're gonna put all the fixings on our burger. We've got tomatoes, we've got whole grain buns. I like these little sandwich buns. Put them on like that. And you can add mustard or ketchup or salsa, whatever you like. Got some avocados, tomato, a little bit of lettuce. And that's it. That's a super easy burger. one of the things I want to point out when you're making your veggie burgers is a lot of times when I'm making grains, like this is quinoa, I have leftovers, so I put it in a bag. And same thing with my lentils, put it in a bag, stick it in the refrigerator, add your extra veggies to the food processor, and just put it all together. And just be watching the consistency, because you can really make any veggie burger with a lot of leftovers. So, any questions, Laura?
Yeah, what kind of buns are those? Are they oil-free?
They are, I don't know if they are oil-free. I'm going to get them out for you because I was at the store quick trying to grab something tonight. This is Arnold. It's 100% whole wheat, flax and fiber. It does have oil in it. It's dairy-free, but there's a lot of ingredients. And you know, when you're buying wraps and buns, one of the things that Nelson and I have noticed is that it's really hard to get something clean unless you're making it for yourself. But it's whole grain, so in the whole grand scheme of things, I think it's probably okay. But you could certainly just put that, you know, in a lettuce wrap and enjoy it that way, or make a veggie ball with it. So next week, join us here. We're going to actually make a dessert. I have a couple of things in mind, all things chocolate. If you know me, you know I love chocolate. So we'll see you back here in a week or so, and have a great evening. Good night.